What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through tonight's 6-game slate in the association. It's towards the end of the season here, a little bit of a grind. We got some teams that are starting to get into a little bit of maybe tank mode here with the injury reports and whatnot. Mike, how are you feeling about today's 6-game slate?
Feel pretty good. Had a nice little weekend. Shout out to OKC for winning yesterday against the Suns. But yeah, not too bad injury wise. Should be a pretty quick show here. Excited to break it down.
Yep, let's get into the game by game stuff. Let's start with Memphis and Brooklyn. Memphis injury report, as always, substantial. No Desmond Bane, no Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson's doubtful, no John Morant, Scottie Pippen Jr., Derrick Rose, Marcus Smart, or Zaire Williams. So who is left for the Memphis Grizzlies in their pursuit of trying to score 100 points each night?
Yeah, they have a over-under 100 today. Two teams actually have that, the Blazers as well. But they're bad. And when I saw the injury report and Jaren Jackson was doubtful, I rushed to get the Nets minus 7.5. That line moved up. This team's in bad shape. We'll see what they do with Trey Jemison. We saw them kind of cut his days down. They played Matthew Hurt instead. Keep an eye on Jordan Goodwin's minutes. No Zaire Williams here, so expecting Goodwin to still start. But yeah, this is bad. I think they would put Conchar in the first unit as well to replace Zaire. So expecting Goodwin, but they might keep his days there. But expecting Goodwin, Conchar, Vince, Santi Aldama, and then I think they go to Lamar Stevens again. Maybe they go back to Jemison here for the Claxton matchup. But kind of up in there. We'll see. Keep an eye on the injury report. It's going to be tough, though. Game starting at 30 after, we might be in the dark on the injury. We'll have to do some digging because usually when they start at the top of the hour, they'll put the guy on the injury report the half an hour before. So we'll have to cross our fingers we get the information there. But yeah, Kennard will be in there. Kennard to start as well. He might start too. But this team's terrible. I don't think they're going to be able to score 100 today.
Walk through when you say Trey Jemison, Jordan Goodwin, number of days. For the people who are not familiar with the contract rules and stipulations, walk through what specifically you're referencing there for these two-way G League guys.
Yeah, so they're on two-way deals, and they're prorated based on when they sign their two-way contract. So for a full season, you get 50. If you had signed a two-way on day one of the year, you get 50 NBA games on your two-way deal. Say you sign it at half the. Say you sign it, just for argument's sake. Say you sign it in the middle of the season, you get half the season, half the 50. So you would get a 25 prorated. They signed it beyond the half, so I think there's only 12 games left for Jemison, and I think 11 for good ballpark. It's around 10 to 13. So they may try to save their games here, but I mean they're really shorthanded. The Jaren Jackson continuously being listed as doubtful. They're clearly trying to save Jemison's days, so they might. This is probably a spot to do it, especially with Zaire out. You think they would want to use a good win day, but definitely keep our eyes peeled for some news on that.
Yeah, so if they are listed as available and active, there would be no concerns about minutes, limitations, or anything like that. It's not a health thing. It's simply a contractual obligation for them and why they might be managing these players' availability. A game against Portland where Portland was playing small was a game that they probably thought, hey, we don't need to use this game for Trey Jemison, but a game against Brooklyn, they might feel the need to, and that might impact their decision with Jordan Goodwin. They also might be sort of with Jordan Jackson doubtful and dealing with a legitimate injury. Desmond Bane on the road to recovery, still a few weeks away as well. From a Grizzlies perspective, they might be viewing this next few weeks as the shutdown period, and then when Bane gets healthy again, seeing if they can play Bane and Jaren to close out the season to get some sort of momentum with the two players together as a potential option. So they might be looking at this as like, this is the window to use these guys because we're planning on having them. But when the games expire, they're basically put their feet to the fire where they can no longer use the player and they have to upgrade them to a full contract, correct?
Yeah. Yep. Basically, which they don't think I think they would just sign someone else. Like when Gilliard was kind of running out of days, they just got rid of him. He's not. He would have had a revenge game. The Nets picked him up, but he's out today. But so keep an eye on that. It's pretty tricky situation If you're playing in like a season-long league where it's weekly, it's pretty tough to play Jemison or Goodwin because they would cut down their days. And should mention too, despite being really shorthanded, they didn't play Yuta Watanabe last game, so they've got 10 if they wanted to kind of like keep one or both these guys out.
Yep. Okay. Let's move to the Brooklyn side. Their injury report also full. Still no Cam Thomas, no Ben Simmons, no Jacob Gilyard and the G League guys, as you referred to there. So what are your expectations for how the Nets line up tonight?
Oh, yeah, it should be kind of the same story here. Cam Thomas getting ruled out early, did rule out Ben Simmons. So they're pretty much locked in with the starting lineup that, played pretty well in their last 2 games, but that was against the Hawks. So certainly expecting Schroeder, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, who's playing hot. He's first back-to-back 20-point games of the year for him. Dorian Finney-Smith and Nick Claxton, obviously really good matchup. The Grizzlies' interior defense is going to be quite bad. They've been getting killed inside. Even against poor offensive teams, they've given up some points in there. But so that's starting 5, locked and loaded. Great matchups for them. And then we'll see, Dayron behind Daddy Clax. Dennis Smith Jr. got a little bit of overlap, more so in the first half with Dennis Schroeder, Lonnie Walker kind of playing behind Cam, and then Jalen Wilson mostly playing behind Mikal there. Did pick up some late minutes. But yeah, pretty straightforward, expecting mostly the same 9-man for them today.
All right, let's move to the Clippers and Bucks. The Clippers have not yet submitted. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. Oh, they did finally submit? Okay, so what do we have as an update from the Clippers injury report here?
They are clean besides the Russell Westbrook hand fracture. So no Paul George on there. Ty Lue said that they didn't know if they were going to limit him at a back-to-back, but had a tough time yesterday. Him and Harden couldn't score against the Wolves. Thanks to Kawhi Leonard for a really nice comeback win after a really slow start. But mostly running it back. Paul George getting 34 minutes was a pretty good sign coming off an injury there. We saw him get listed with the meniscus irritation. That was a little concerning, but looks like he's good to go. It's the Clippers, so definitely don't write it in pen. Be cautious if you're going to fire at stuff early. But mostly good to go there. Zoo returned from illness. He should be good as well.
Only 19 minutes for Zubats. Mm-hmm. Is that a function of minutes being managed or a function of Daniel Tice's play yesterday?
Daniel Tice, yeah. Ty Lue talked him up, said that he's fit well in their drop coverage they've been running. So I think it was more matchup, and Tice playing, pretty well.
What would your minutes expectation be for Zubats tonight?
24. I think it's probably got a good shot at it. I think it just kind of ran bad yesterday.
Okay. So, but close to a pretty equal split between those two, it seems like. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. They're more safe with Westbrook out. They like to run Westbrook in the small ball stuff sometimes, so I think they're pretty safe.
Yeah, we saw Bones Highland play yesterday. We haven't seen Bones Highland in a while, so the Westbrook injury is certainly opening up more potential playing time for him as well.
I should mention Ty Lue said that he's confirmed to be in the rotation going forward. He's going to get the opportunity now.
And no minutes limit expectations on Paul George. He looks all set to go.
Not formal, but I think they'll try to keep him in check. They're probably not going to run him up to like upper 30s, but I think they're going to probably try to have him like the 33, 34 range again.
All right, let's go to Milwaukee, where Giannis Antetokounmpo is listed questionable with left Achilles tendonitis. We've been noting the distinction between probable tags and questionable tags for Giannis this year, which has been more significant than in years past. They are without Chris Middleton still with the left ankle sprain. They also have Chris Livingston listed doubtful, not important there. Marjon Beauchamp listed probable, which could be important if Giannis were unable to go, as they might dip down deeper into the rotation. But what's your read on Giannis's availability tonight?
Yeah, don't have much. New injury. We know he's been listed with the knee tendinopathy. He's got the P tag for a while, so this is new. Not a history of Achilles injuries either. So we'll see. Definitely a chance he sits. Not a back-to-back, though. I don't really have a great read on the situation. If he did sit, I think they would go to Pat Connaughton. We know they like Bobby Portis off the bench. Pretty much dead for the 6th man of the year conversation. But would probably expect Connaughton to have Crowder at the 4 spot.
On to Portland and Minnesota. On the Portland side, very full injury report here. Malcolm Brogdon, Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Robert Williams all listed out. Jeremy Grant listed doubtful. Questionable tags for Matisse Thybulle, Justin Minaya, and DeAndre Ayton. So we saw this last time out that they were without Ayton. They were without Malcolm Brogdon, Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp. Jeremy Grant got injured early in that game, so we got a taste of that without Ayton. potentially bring back Ayton into the mix tonight, but potentially also lose Matisse Thybulle. So things getting a little bit thinner on the Portland side of the equation. What are your expectations here?
Yeah, I think they're going to go big. So I think they would start Jabari at the 4. We saw when Grant got hurt last game at halftime, they went smaller and went Delano Banton and pushed Chris Murray up to the 3. But given the matchup, I think they're going to start big. So I think they would go, assuming 8 and in, which I'll get to, Ant, Chris Murray, Tumani Kamara, Jabari Walker, and then DeAndre Ayton. If he's out, obviously it would be Duop Reith. But that would make it a little less likely that they would start Jabari. I think they might go Banton just from a depth chart perspective. They may want to keep Jabari as their backup 4 or 5. But Jabari's going to play a ton. He's been really hot. He's on my 30-man team. Shout out to me. He's been crushing. But tough matchup, obviously. I mentioned they're under 100 point total. Like I said, 2 teams have an under 100 point total today. It's kind of wild. But yeah, so this is tough matchup here. I think it's a 14-point spread last I checked. Minnesota's defense has been very, very good despite a couple losses here. But not a very attractive spot here.
On the Minnesota side, they filed right before we got on, I believe Kyle Anderson listed questionable here. Were there any other notes from the Minnesota injury report to pass along?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for some management here. We saw Chris Finch say, right out of the break that they're going to manage back-to-backs. We've seen them have a lot of back-to-backs. I believe this is their 3rd one already after the break. So it's odd. Rudy Gobert got called, quote, 85%, according to Chris Finch. We know Ant was dealing with the ankle. He's looked fine. Cat's been fine. Jaden McDaniel still has the wrap on his hand. He's been playing a little bit better, had a bit of a tough game yesterday offensively, but he got called, quote, the Jaden of old. So, yeah, expecting these guys pretty much good to go besides the slow-mo. Could be managed from the hamstring. Usually guys are managed for minutes on the hamstring. So I think Kyle Anderson could definitely miss. That would obviously push up Naz Reid on Nickeil Alexander-Walker's minutes, a little bit more Monty Morris overlap as well.
Yeah. In order of most likely to least likely to have a kind of midday add to the injury report here for Minnesota, given it is a second night of a back-to-back, given the quality of the opponent here.
Yeah. Oh, you kind of cut out there. I kind of lost you there. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hot back in, but if you could tackle the player most likely.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So it's going to be, I think Gobert would be the most likely just because he got called 85%, according to Chris Finch. Could be Mike Conley because he's, an older guy. But Cat looks to be healthy. Anthony Edwards looks to be fine from the ankle, like I mentioned. Been really explosive. His drives and scoring off drives is way up. But keep an eye out. Again, just the big spread and the Finch quote. It's a little bit surprising not to get any any Q tags. We know they're pretty liberal with their Q tags. So to not get any is, a bit of a surprise.
All right, let's move to Washington and Utah on the Washington side of the equation. Just G Leaguers basically ruled out here, along with Isaiah Livers, who has had a consistent history of being listed out. Washington side, any notes for them in the matchup with Utah?
No, just Bilal Coulibaly should be in the starting lineup. They're really comfortable with Jordan Poole, who's been playing a lot better. Their offense has been a little bit better. Their defense is still getting really killed, especially inside. But that's pretty much where we're at. So expecting Bilal back in the first unit to replace Landry Shamet. They're locked and loaded with Jordan Poole in the bench unit, who's been pretty aggressive. His drives are up, his touches are up. So he's been playing pretty well despite loss after loss after loss.
Utah side of the ledger there without Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler tonight. We've got Keontae George also added to the injury report as questionable with an illness. That's concerning because it's a same-day add. What are your notes here on the Jazz?
Yeah, not great. I coverboyed Keontae George before we got the Q tag for matchups today. Obviously, we love the Wizards for output, but yeah, this is tough with Lauri out. I have no great feel for who's going to start. Luka Samanic subbed in behind Lauri yesterday, so from a depth chart perspective, that will be my lean. But they could go big. They could start Yurt. They could start Bryce Sensabaugh. They could start Taylor Horton-Tucker. They could start Chris Dunn. That's just for the Lauri spot. So yeah, I have no confidence. We've got a hedge on who's going to start here. And then, I think Chris Dunn would start if Keontae George could not play. Keontae coming off a huge game, 43 minutes against the Heat, almost pulled a comeback. Miami had a really nice fourth and late third. Even with Bam out, just to shout out Miami, that was a pretty nice win when Bam goes down and they kind of went on a little run. Bam did return. Should note that. But they're thin, and this is obviously the best spot. John Collins is an absolute smash. We know we love centers against the Wizards. So yeah, a lot of fantasy output in this game. Utah's defense also really struggling lately. I think they're last in the last month too. So the teams are bad, but the fantasy upside is quite big in this game.
And without Walker Kessler and Larry Markkinen, John Collins starts at the center. You're at 7 pretty clearly, the backup 5. The 4 spot now, Hendricks, Samanic, maybe Sensabaugh can kind of 3-4 spot. It seems like those guys, they don't have a ton of depth here. So Taylor Horton-Tucker probably has to play a decent bit as like a guard wing option. I guess they do get Clarkson back, so that helps out quite a bit with the guard depth. But what are your thoughts in terms of how they split kind of the 3-4 minutes for Utah tonight?
Yeah, we saw Taylor Horton-Tucker and even Chris Dunn sub in as a 4 last year and earlier this year. So I think they would just go smaller. Obviously, there's not a lot of imposing size on the other end. Should also note that they upgraded Micah Potter and Jason Preston from out to questionable. So it seems like Keontae's probably not playing. Tough scene for the best balls to start. I have a lot of Keontae, need it.
Chicago and Sacramento. On the Chicago side of things, Alex Caruso listed questionable here. Other than that, it's mostly the guys who've been out, and then their G Leaguers who are listed out. So no Patrick Williams, no Zach LaVine, no Lonzo Ball, no Torrey Craig. But the Caruso questionable tag lingers once again. Matchup with Sacramento. What are your thoughts here for Chicago tonight?
Yeah, should be good on Caruso. Not a back-to-back. They've been off for a couple of days, so it should be good. Never know with Caruso, though. What a highlight Vooch. He's first in the NBA in front court touches since the break. They are feeding this man, and you could just tell by watching. He's just getting the ball all day. Good matchup against Sabonis, so kind of like I considered cover boying Vooch today. I really like him. DeMar DeRozan leading the NBA minutes per game. Kobe still playing a ton. Still slumping, man. He's 5 of 29 on catch and shoot since the break. Did play a little bit better in the last game. Matchup's pretty good. Going to probably see De'Aaron Fox, assuming he can go. But we know that, and Ayo's playing a ton. This has been a really, really tight rotation from Billy Donovan. The Kings defense also has been slipping a little bit again. They were kind of hanging around, like not terrible, but they've been pretty bad the last 7-8 games. So a lot of fantasy appeal there too.
Sacramento side, De'Aaron Fox still listed questionable with this left knee contusion. That's consecutive games that he's missed despite participating in shoot around. What's your lean on Fox's availability tonight?
Yeah, very odd to go through shoot around twice and then not playing either. That is extremely rare for that. So don't have a great read on it. I think he's got a decent chance. Don't really have anything from Mike Brown there. We saw them alternate the starters. We saw Davion start 2 games ago. Keon start last game, didn't do much. He actually got the defensive player of the game chain which was interesting from Mike Brown there. But nutty matchup for Keegan Murray, right? We know the Bulls give it the most catch and shoot stuff. Keegan playing a ton of minutes here. So Keegan will be in a good spot. We'll see if Kevin Huerter would be insulated. We saw a lot more Malik Monk at the 1, which was not usually their go-to. They usually like to play, a true guard, whether it's Keon, Davion, or Fox. But Monk, oh my God, Monk may have sealed 6th man of the year with a 39-point game. This huge 4th and late 3rd from him. But I think Fox is in. He's had about a week or so to manage this injury and hope just a contusion. So probably coming back, but don't have anything to go with it to support it.
Oklahoma City and the Lakers, last game on the docket here. Oklahoma City on the second night of back-to-back. They have not filed yet. Any things to be on the lookout for with Oklahoma City tonight?
No, nothing really to note. Again, just nice win from them after starting out. I think they were down like 14-0 or something. Just come surging back in a hurry. But I don't think there's anything to add. Giddey's minutes got cut down. Eric Wiggins played pretty well. We're starting to see Hayward tick up a little bit, but not much. They clearly don't want to play him a lot.
All right. And then on the Lakers side, the injury report reads very similar to what it's been the last few weeks. Anthony Davis probable, LeBron James questionable, Cam Reddish probable, still without Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, Christian Wood, and Colin Castleton. Any reason for concern on LeBron questionable tag after securing the 40,000-point mark with a disappointing loss to the Nuggets, or any concern on Anthony Davis in the probable tag?
Yeah, I think they got to go for it. They want to manage LeBron, but not a back-to-back. I think he's going to be good to go here. Didn't have to travel or anything like that, so should be good, but not 100%. And then Davis continues to get that probable for the Achilles tendinopathy, so should be good. They ran a pretty tight rotation in the last game as well, but yeah, should be good, but never know.
Their schedule from a volume standpoint in terms of number of games does lighten up. These next 2 weeks, they only have 6 games over the next 2 weeks. So I was looking at this stuff for best ball stuff. So they have no back-to-backs. Their next back-to-back is March 26th, 27th, and it's at Milwaukee and then at Memphis. So it's kind of a friendly schedule there. And then April 2nd and April 3rd, they've got at Toronto, at Washington. So 2 of their 3 back-to-back sets the rest of the way are kind of softer in terms of the schedule and a little bit lower volume in terms of games played. But they do have in the next 2 weeks 2 games against Sacramento, a game against Minnesota, and a game against Oklahoma City. So in terms of Western Conference foes, big opportunities for the Lakers. I also would agree that this is kind of like got to go for it mode. And they've got, the game against Golden State on Saturday, March 16th is going to be a big one. They have 2 days off before that game. So and quietly over the course of the back end of the week, the 5 through 8 team is coming back to this range a little bit. So it's a little bit more within striking distance now for Los Angeles and Golden State to get into that 5 to 8 range than it was before. You can see just from a win-loss perspective, much of that range has gone 5-5 or 6-4. So that's allowed the opportunity for these teams to kind of gain a little bit of ground and make it a little bit more competitive in terms of the efforts to avoid the play-in.
Yeah, I'll add, Phoenix is in trouble without Booker for a little bit. Dallas is losing games all of a sudden. It's getting they're definitely, in within shouting distance of moving out of that 9-10 for sure.
Yep. All right. That will do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, the best way to support our content here is by subscribing to this YouTube channel. Our goal of getting to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the NBA season is in your hands. We need about 280 more subscribers to get that goal, so we appreciate your efforts in supporting this channel. If you're interested in any of our premium or paid content, you can check out establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA for more details on our premium product offerings, both on the DFS side and on the prop side. Tonight, the DFS show. We said goodbye to Gary Hartman last week, which is very sad, but you'll be getting a lot more of the rest of the cast of characters on the ETR NBA projections team. So tonight, behind the paywall, it'll be me and Sam Jafrania, who is known as Mambatar in the streets. So the Mamba from the prop streets will return to the DFS streets. He did some shows while I was gone on my vacation. So Sam and I will tackle this slate: the good chalk, the bad chalk, the contrarian plays, and of course, the flag plants. So tune in 5 o'clock Eastern behind the paywall for our Establish the Show. Also, if you are interested in supporting this free content, the other way you can do so is by smashing that like button and feeding that algorithm. You feed the algorithm, it helps feed our families and allows us to feed you the NBA injury information analysis you need each and every day to set your season-long lineups, your DFS lineups, and make your spread bets and your prop bets. So smash that like button, feed that algorithm. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you tomorrow.